Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Tribble Timewarp. Fleet Starbases are here. For those of you that have been under a rock for the last few weeks, this is the headline feature for Season 6. Although I'll grant you that at the moment it's more like the headline construction site. Because Fleet Starbases are built over a period of time, we haven't got all that much to show for it at the moment. This is the Level 0 map. It's the initial stage of the Starbase construction. Nothing works, and you can see pretty clearly that nothing is going to work because they're still building it. It's just space frames and skeletons. The space map is accessible through Eta Eridani. You will see a new system just near to K7, and it leads you here. Ultimately, of course, this will be the equivalent of Earth orbit for Fleet space docks. There are a few things dotted around the map as well as the central starbase. This is the transwarp conduit for one. Presumably this will give you quick access to and from the Fleet Starbase once it's operational and running and paid for. Yeah, you've got to pay for everything. And the bill is fairly steep. What do you expect? It's for fleets. This is some kind of research lab. I assume it's going to be the comms array when it's finished, judging from the solar panel transmitter type thingies. And if we carry on around the map, we eventually come to the fleet shipyards, which again are in a pretty basic and non-functional state at the moment. And that really highlights my first point about this map, is that everything's too far apart at the moment. There may well be reasons for this, and I appreciate it's all in an early alpha version, but those separate sub-buildings could usefully be about 5-10 kilometers closer to the main base, just so they're visible. Moving on, we have the fleet interface. This has had a serious revamp. You can see we have the new overview screen, Starbase progressions, fleet events. Moving on again, we have fleet holdings. Now this is the Starbase interface tier. You have the experience boxes. Each one shows how far you are to completing it, be it military, science, engineering, or indeed the Starbase itself. You can see that we're gradually filling up the gold XP on all three. We also have mission displays showing both the time remaining if a mission's going, or the contribution status if, as it happens, we're still scraping together the current season resources to get a mission going. The news tab hasn't really changed, the events tab more or less, although as you can see we now have functions setting by rank, including, curiously, Vice Admiral 1. Now this actually goes all the way up to Vice Admiral 5. So Cryptic are presumably laying the foundations for a raise in the level cap in a few months, years even. We shall see. You can generally set all the parameters of an event as you want. RSVP button if you want to indicate your willingness to attend an event. Details as you might expect. Fleet roster, again no changes here. Information ditto. Settings ditto. The uniforms tab doesn't appear to be functional at the moment. Now, whether that's because we don't have a Starbase Tailor online yet, I don't know, but it's just a blank window right now. This little alert thing is for the Federation Fleet Alerts. Now, you can join the queue directly, but it's a little bugged. Particularly if you don't have enough people online, it will just kick you from the queue. Since it's fleet members only, yeah. It would be nice to see that window only displaying if there were actually enough fleet members online, i.e. at least 5 for one version of the mission and 15 for the big one, and enough people, say a third of them, were ready and willing to go. Then you kick the alert out to the remaining fleet members and you can roll from there, see who's interested. Finally, the map's a little empty. I don't know, it'd be nice to have some work bees buzzing around, maybe the USS Da Vinci as well. Anyway, let's head on inside. Skip this loading screen. Naturally, you beam at the transporter room. Now, half the lights are off. What do you expect? The place is barely built. No functionality in the transporter consoles, not really a surprise. No functionality on the pads either. It would be kind of nice to have the option to beam back to your ship from these pads, but bear in mind that this is Tribble, it is essentially beta, and this content is in a very early iteration. Exiting the transporter room, you have what amounts to a concourse with a really quite spectacular view out of the main windows. Ignore the fact for the moment that there is nothing corresponding to the base structure that matches this room right now. The councillor is embedded halfway into the floor. That is a bit of a bug and will presumably be fixed. Again, this is a Tier 0 starbase. Nothing works yet. Believe me, really nothing works. I mean, we've got life support and maybe a few things. I mean, even the bartender's got nothing for sale. She points you to the replicators, which for some reason have got 2 interaction icons. And the replicator doesn't work either. Yeah. Fortunately, of course, you have a personal replicator in your inventory, so hey, not really an issue. Now, at the moment, this is being classed as the operations deck, which is something of a misnomer. It's more like a promenade or a concourse, because, of course, operations is Starfleet terminology for a station's equivalent of a bridge, and it's certainly not a public area like this one. Anyway, moving on into a couple of the little sub-levels that we have. Various assignment and bridge officers dotted around here. So you've got a duty officer, DOF management's not available, surprise. BOF training doesn't work. The skill respecker, guess what? Nope, he's not interested. The lovely chap in diplomatic whites, actually no, it's not a chap, is it? It's a lady. Nope, no work whatsoever. Yeah. This will all start to unlock as we get going. Bearing in mind that this is a really early iteration, you can see here from the placement of the bank and mail consoles, needless to say they don't work either, that for the Tier 0 map I would be inclined to just gut out all the consoles and all the bridge officers and replace them with essentially engineering work crews. So you have little ambient artificial interactions, such as crews trying to fix a console or install a power conduit. I mean, even the tailor's closed. I mean, he apparently doesn't even have a needle and some thread to his name. Can't switch starships. Basically, you can't do anything on this map other than wander around, have it look pretty, admire the scenery. What's that weapon on the right? Because that is what looks like an assault minigun, a Mako battle rifle, standard phaser rifle. That's a phaser minigun for FNAF. That one on the right looks new. Well, we are supposed to be getting some Mark 12 fleet weapons, so maybe that's just a quick early look at the model. If so, you saw it here first. Another little visual bug is that the turbo lifts aren't on the mini-map at the moment. Clearly they were intending to just use the sliding doors in the portal as they did on the concourse, and they've decided to add in actual turbolift cars and just haven't gotten around to updating it yet. Needless to say, the engineering repair officer doesn't work either. However, there is a little bit of a bug here. If you go for minor repairs, obviously she can't provide it, she immediately goes to her error message and then locks into that error message repeatedly because it automatically tries to select the minor components tab. She can't sell you anything, that trips the error, and hey presto, you're automatically dumped out. So if you want to stock up on components, go back to Earth. We have another duty officer here. Wait, is this why it's taking so long to build? Have they just grabbed every spare cadet out of the academy and said, hey guys, field trip 101, let's go build a starbase? No, we'll provide the environment suits later. Don't worry if a few of you choke, it's just the holding your breath in space course. And indeed the examination. If you survive, you passed. If you fail, well, we'll inform your next of kin. I'm not sure if that was a frame rate glitch there that had the doors pause on opening. I think it was. I didn't notice it when I was recording this. And again, we have this automatic selection and dump bug. Same with the engineering officer. Interestingly, of course, that chap already had it. Now, I don't know whether that was because I had talked to the engineering repairs first and it had simply transferred over from there. Be interesting to see if it has, because I didn't think you could link NPCs like that. Next bit of it, we have the medical isolation lab, including an advanced biobed with a quarantine field that is apparently quarantining part of the light fitting and has no visible emitters. Well, we can probably get away with moving the field back an inch or two so it's not doing that. Maybe. On the other hand, you'd have to really be looking to notice that little glitch, so hey, perhaps it doesn't matter too much. Science lab. Again, this is a reuse from the one on your ship, but that actually makes sense. That's not a criticism because, of course, Starfleet uses modular rooms and buildings all the time, so it's fluffy. It works. And didn't we last see her staring at a bush in the academy? Fairly sure I've seen that Vulcan before. Anyway, tactical, the final thing. Needless to say, nothing works in here either, and the NPC pathing seems to need some work as well. Yes, indeed. Head on round the corner. Now, I'm assuming that this is meant to be the actual operations deck of the base, because let's face it, it's considerably more focused. Again, it's a scenery reuse. This is from the Klingon listening outpost and Stop the Signal, I think it was. But they've done a nice job of repurposing it, even if we're still using neutral consoles. Now, what is this guy up to? There was a Saurian around here who appears to have mysteriously vanished. He was there a second ago. Is this just an angle thing? Can I only see him from certain angles? Is this the great Saurian ghost of Starbase Valhalla? Apparently not. He seems to be well and truly gone. Anyway, I am going to go and find Egon, and that has been a first look at the Starbases and the Fleet interface window. I'll see you next time.